Hello, everybody. This is JJ Hardy with Victory Leadership Coaching. By the way, I'm not just JJ Hardy. I'm JJ Hardy, the coach. And I'm here with DB, the therapist. And he's got his Derek Brown LCSW company. He's an awesome therapist. But anyway, we're here with Warrior Leadership. And today we're going to discuss the extremely important topic of balancing ambition and well-being. So first, I'm going to say, DB, how are you today, man?
You know what? I'm doing well, man. You know, we had our coffee. It's kind of like coffee and camaraderie, but coffee and leadership discussion this morning, man. It really set the tone for the day, man. That networking and that fellowshipping with other entrepreneurs and just talking about real life stuff and balancing, work-life balance. We talk about that a lot, but do we really act it out, man? And so that really set the tone for the day, JJ.
You're right. So before we get into I'll call it the meat and potatoes of what we're going to talk about today, because I love meat and potatoes. So let's roll with that. I love it. So let's define ambition and well-being, and then you're going to give the in-depth view on both of those definitions. So ambition is defined by the Oxford Dictionary as a strong desire to do or to achieve something, typically requiring, listen to this, determination or hard work. I love determination and hard work. Love it. Absolutely. And let's take it to the next level and say well-being is the state of being. Oh, I hate this word.
Go ahead.
You already know what it is.
Go ahead.
The state of being comfortable.
Oh.
And then, of course, healthy and happy. Those are good words.
Yes.
I'll take those. But comfortable, that's a...
Yeah.
Don't talk nasty to me.
Oh, wow. Comfortable is nasty. See, that, you know what? I like how you reframe that word in your mind, comfortable. But I think a level of comfortability is necessary, right? I mean, you think about, I think what stuck out to me the most, man, is in the definition, there's this emotional undertone to the word ambition, man. And so, it's interesting because, on my end, I looked at that definition too, man, and it's like this idea of tangible and intangible achievements, right? So many times when we're focused on ambition, it's like full reward that I'm going to get from this work that I'm putting in. And JJ, this morning, man, you gave me a nugget. We talked about a mini after actions review, right? That is what's important when you think about this ambition and this intangible sort of achievement. When you do that after actions review, that's how you'll be able to see those tangible and those intangible things that you've learned. You take that information, man, and you store it, because now you're building those soft skills that are so important in the business world, man.
That's true. And, somebody just kind of, we'll go into this more, but look at this comment. So Michael Hummel, he said, I love comfort, but it can kill.
Oh my.
I've always said, something a little bit different. And by the way, Michael, you're right. I think that's where complacency comes in, because you can easily fall behind or put yourself in a bad situation when you get comfortable. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants you to get comfortable so that they can move in on you. That's just kind of the way it works. But, I always say that comfort is the enemy of success.
Hey, Coach.
Sir.
You are a man after my own heart, because I promise you I'm not making this up. I'm about to hit enter, and you're about to see what just happened. Boom. Literally, I was typing that as you said it.
Really?
Yes. This is the intersection of coaching and therapy, by the way. Me and this guy are like Jordan and Pippen. I'm telling you, look at that. You said it, and I was typing it as you said it, sir.
It's the truth, though. And actually, the goal here if you want to be successful in this game called life, is to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Okay.
So in other words, make friends with the idea, because you're going to do a lot of things that aren't going to make you feel great every single time. But Michael said another thing. It said it kills your dreams, ambitions, and your actions. Great point. It can.
So I got a question for you, Coach.
Sure.
What do you think the value is in exploring this idea of ambition? What is the value add to it, right? Because I mean, every time you look around, folks will say the comment like, I'm too busy to, do this, do that. But what's the value in exploring whether or not you're being either overly ambitious or maybe not ambitious enough? What's the value in that?
So, I mean, this whole call is to define balance.
Yes.
In both well-being and ambition. But being over ambitious is going to take time. You have to make time for you. And that's the well-being side. And if you're too ambitious, you can lose sight of what's important. And that's your why. You can get caught up in the greed. You can get caught up in a lot of things. But pardon me. But you can, if you get too ambitious, that can happen. Now, ambition's not a bad thing. I will say that if you're comfortable sitting around smoking joints all day, that is going to keep you from doing a lot of things, because it may be comfortable, but there are a lot of reasons why that's not going to work. Because you just sat down on your couch and you lit something up, and then on top of that, now you're not going to move. Because you're not going to move. If you've ever done it, Anyway, let's not go there. That's a story for another time. And if you're too ambitious, you can get overwhelmed and not do anything. Oh, Michael, one of these days you might just have to hop on here with us, my friend. That is such a good comment. You always throw these little nuggets out there, and they're not small. They're like, it's like the golden ticket. That's pretty good. You're so right. I'm gonna put that up on the screen.
And that's good. And as you do that, Coach, man, you know what? Exploring ambition gives us understanding and insight, man, also about how that influences our life. When I was a kid, man, I'm gonna say it, man. When I was a kid, you have to look at our schema and where we get words from, and this idea of like word association, right? The first time I ever heard the word ambition, I remember, is from the song "Ambitions as a Rider" from Tupac. And so at the end of the day, for me, when I hear the word ambition, the first thing that comes to my mind is that song. And so this is the power of like music and culture and things like that. And so when I'm working with clients in therapy, sometimes I'll make those connections with words that they may have in their schema. And so because I associate ambition primarily with that song, everything that song talks about is what drives me if I'm not careful. And so I have to take a step back sometimes and really look at it and say, okay, how do I flow and how do I move when it comes to me wanting to be too ambitious? Because that ambition is affecting those around me who I love and I care about. And so that's where being a part of a tribe, going to coaching, going to therapy, using those other protective factors are important for us to be able to assess how it's influencing our life, our attitude about it, behavior, and whether it's affecting us positively or negatively, right? So there's two sides of the coin. It's not good or bad. I think it's about whether it's effective or ineffective based on my goals at that time.
Well, and you have to have goals, and that ambition comes into place when it's time to take action. And we talked a lot about that last week, but if you're not ambitious, you're not gonna go into motion. And if you don't go into motion, then you're standing still. And if you're standing still, nothing gets done. So you have to have a certain amount of ambition to get your butt moving. And if you don't have any, then all of these wonderful things that you're constantly thinking about inside of your head are going to stay there. And it's going to plague you. And that's the opposite of having too much ambition. It's having that imposter syndrome that keeps you from going into it, because it's another way that it seems too hard. Nothing is that hard, to be honest with you. And you might not be successful once you go out there and you try it, but that's okay. Figure out what you did wrong and keep moving forward. When I think ambition, I also think determination, and I think drive. And if you don't have a clear why, you're not going to have those towards what you're working towards.
Right. That's really good, man. And that's going into that next area, man, of like specifically honing in on what are the positive effects of ambition, man. And you hit one that's important, man. You said determination. I love doing this exercise where I meet someone and I just really want to figure out what they really think about themselves, man, because identity is so important. But within that identity is wrapped with what is their level of ambition in life and how do they see themselves and how they show up in the world. And so someone asked me, what's an adjective that you use to describe yourself, Derek? And I say, determined, Derek. Determination. And determination, like you said, it's directly related to ambition, which is when you think of that T-I-O-N at the end, it's all, anytime you see T-I-O-N at the end, it has to do with motion and movement. And so what direction am I moving in? Am I moving in a positive direction, or moving in a negative direction? And so it's very powerful how this idea of ambition can be either positive or negative based on your mindset, based on how you perceive the world around you. And it's a powerful force, man. And what I like about ambition is that we talked about this earlier, man, is that coaching and therapy can help you harness it. It can help you harness that ambition, because I say this to clients all the time. I'm the canvas and you're the artist. And so when someone comes in, I don't care if you got $1 million idea, I'm going to help you harness some of that ambition. And you also helped me with this, coach, as well, which is, hey, what's the next indicated step? Let's start small. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? And so that's the importance of getting that help. Ambition is great, but if you move too fast, you can mess around and burn out really quick, which is going into kind of the next thing, man, which is what are some of the negative effects of ambition that you've seen, maybe even in your own life? Maybe if you want to give like an anecdotal example of it or something like that, what's the negative effects of ambition?
Oh my gosh. Again, forgetting about what's important.
Mm-hmm.
You can get caught up in all of the success and happiness of achieving goals and just knocking things out of the park that, I'm going to be honest with you, in my past, I have left my family behind. And I pay for that sometimes. But what are we all working towards, to be quite honest with you? I mean, we have a why. My why is my family. I want to have something that can be passed on if they want it. Obviously, I'm not going to shove anything down my kids' throats, but the idea of building a business and being successful in what I'm doing right now, it's not for me. Well, part of it is it's using my skills and I'm doing something that I enjoy, but it's to build that generational wealth and something that can be passed down through generations. And what better to pass down than something that is dealing with teaching my kids how to deal with people is basically what I do for a living. But you can get so caught up in that you forget about what's important.
Oh my.
And once you do that, you can easily lose your drive. And I'll go back to what Michael said. It kills your dreams, ambitions, and actions. Because guess what? You just realized you're working hard for nothing. Once you have all of that wealth and all of the success, what are you going to go home to? If you leave everybody behind, you're going to be going home to nothing. I hope you have some of the best friends in the world that can replace your spouse. Because if you don't, you're alone.
Right. You know what? And the same for me, coach. I'll say this. I wrote it and I'm going to hit send on the chat box and I'll say it out loud is that I left my family behind many times unintentionally. And then I had to spend money to make up for my overly ambitious ways, meaning that actually put us back in terms of building our empire, right? Each one of us, our homes and our families are an empire unto themselves. And so, you know, if we're going to manage this empire, we have to do it in a way that is efficient. And so when you exert so much energy and time on one thing and you don't slow down and bring them alongside with you, what ends up happening is that you're getting out of alignment. And we talk about the wellness wheel a lot and just holistic, you know, self-care and things like that. Part of that is, man, our family coming alongside of us. And we jokingly talked about this earlier, man, and it was real to me and it really resonated with me. And I thank you for this, man. Is when my wife says something about the dishes, that may not be important to me at the moment because I'm thinking about opportunity costs all the time, right? In my little mind, I'm like, opportunity costs. If I'm spending 30 minutes cleaning dishes, then I could be spending that 30 minutes on a call doing something else to build the empire. But that time is so important. So that's where, look, again, we talk about harnessing ambition, right? She is there to help remind me to keep me grounded. And so as men, man, we could have a whole talk just about this concept alone. And hopefully, you know, as we begin to continue to grow this network, and it will, we're going to continue to talk about this and continue to, you know, really hone in on this specific topic because it'll come up over and over again because our families, look, like you said, are we going to jump out so far ahead where it's just us? And now we're like, you know, JP Morgan and all these people who made billions of dollars, but I wonder how is their relationships with their families? Like if we did a review of all the, you know, most successful people in the world in our history, right? I want to know how was your relationship with your family? And I don't care about what you show me in pictures. I want to read your biography and learn about how were those relationships. And that's why for me as a man, I love reading stories in the Bible. I love reading biographies like about Colin Powell, Barack Obama. I want to know what was going on behind the scenes. Tell me about what was happening in the nitty gritty of your relationship, man, because I don't know about everyone out there, but like you said, my why is my family. And one of the things, man, I told my mom at kind of the last moments of her life, bro, I told her, I'm going to do everything I can to be the best man I can be. And this is what she told me. Be there for that boy. Those are the words that the last sort of orders that I got from my mom, be there for that boy. And so when we think about this ambition, you know, we have to bridle that passion, man, with wise counsel, with support from, you know, our family members that are trying to help us go on the right path, but professionals like ourselves who are not going to steer you wrong, because not only do we have experience in terms of professional experience. I mean, on this call, dude, we have over 40, 50 years of experience just in work experience working with people, but our lived experience as well, JJ. We can't undermine our lived experience, right? And
You're
so
right.
I think that's so important in the grander scheme of things.
You know, I would like to put this one up there just because Michael's still dropping over here.
Is he?
He is. Look at this one. So we talk about our why. I think about my wife the same way. My kids are the same way. They are the most important people in my life. He said, my time with the most important person on the planet means more to me than anything, even my mission.
Oh,
but you
let's
know what?
unpack. Can we unpack that?
What's that?
Can we unpack that?
I think we can.
Yes.
So, I mean, your family should be part of your mission.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not the written vision for your company, if you have one, but definitely in your life's mission. If you're not focusing on the things that are important, you're going to lose them. That's just the way life works. It's just the way life works. If if the English language is so important to you and you get wrapped up in these TikToks and stuff like that and you lose focus on the English language, you're going to start speaking in text and you're going to walk around. I'm sorry if people are listening to this and they do that, but you're going to sound like a blithering idiot.
Yeah. So,
and I'm sorry if you talk like that, anyone watching or listening, you sound like one. That's just the way it works. I'm not being judgy. I'm not.
I got a question though. Are you going to speak in text or TikTok?
I don't know. LMFAO.
Oh man, I mean that's powerful, man. And you dropping gems right there. Family should be a part of your life's mission.
Yes.
Like you're right. They're a part of that mission plan, because guess what? They're going to help you build it, man. They're going to help you build it. And a lot of times are especially the young people, they're going to be the ones that take over. And I remember my son came to me recently, man, and on his own, he came up with this on his own. I didn't push him and prod him. He came up to me and said, "Dad, you know what?" And he's changed his career 3 times already since he's been in high school. First, he wanted to be an engineer, then a lawyer. And then he came up to me on his own and he's like, "Dad, I think I want to be an entrepreneur now." You know, and you know, that's really powerful to me, man, because he's watching me kind of live this life out, this entrepreneurial journey that I'm living out, you know, 4 years in the game, and then starting to really build a tribe and a network, and that's growing, man. And it's important. And even though I'm a therapist, I want to put this out there, is that I can get discouraged too. I can get depressed as well, because the entrepreneurial journey, if you look at the statistics, and we can definitely, hopefully we can come back and maybe post some of those stats out there, but you know, mental health is real for us. Like it's possible. It's lonely at the top, right?
It is. Yeah.
I remember in that 50 Cent song, we said, "Top feels so much better than the bottom, so much better." Well, really? Does it really feel better? Like, does it feel better? Or are you just saying that because, you know, you want people to think that you're okay? Are you really okay at the top? And do you feel alone even though you're in a crowded room full of people?
Yeah, I hope all that money that they're throwing around in those music videos keep them warm at night.
Oh my. Oh. Well, you know, but ambition though. And so look, and we have, and so it's so important, man, for us to, you know, this podcast is so important for us as men, because the loudest voices in the room are actually only looking at ambition from the positive side and what it can bring to you, not looking at the negative. It's not focusing on the fact that, you know, it's a process and it's not always about the outcome, right? Yeah. So you see it every day when you scroll on social media. Anytime, you know, you got the you know, the big players showing, "Oh, look at my Ferrari, look at this, look at that." It's like everybody is talking about the outcome.
That's cool.
Or you know, they do stuff like, you know, to those that are unintelligent, you know, they appeal to authority by having, you know, rappers and all of these people, and that's fine. You know, we want to hear their stories and hear how they rose to the top. But at the end of the day, you're appealing to emotion. Mm-hmm. You know, you're appealing to people and you're saying, "Look, this is what success looks like. And you can have this comfortable life if you just do this." And it's these shortcuts, man, that just, you know, it's just not the reality. And so we have to, when it comes to this idea of ambition, man, we really have to understand that it is a steeplechase.
Yes. So let's talk about how that, so we've already said a bunch of stuff about how that affects well-being, but let's just consider this. So coming from, I'm a leadership guy. This is what I talk about on a daily basis. So if there is a dichotomy, if there's a balance to being a leader, to being the head of the household, to being anything, you know, then you have to look at you know, if you're a drinker, you know, there's got to be a balance to that, because you can't overdo that because you'll destroy your life. If you partake in other things because you have issues, you can't do too much of that. Well, guess what? You can also be addicted to ambition. You can be addicted to anything. And so you got to really pay attention and have a decent level of emotional intelligence, and check in with yourself and check in with the people around you so that you can create balance in your life. Because if you don't, just like if you overdo your management, if you end up micromanaging other people, you're going to lose the hearts and minds, and you don't want to do that. If your goal is to grow as an individual, grow as a business, and serve people in a way that really has an effect on the world, then you have to create balance in everything that you do. Why are you looking at me like that?
Coach, you know what I'm about to say. Every time I get this face, what do I say? The record button, it's already on though this time. You dropped another gem, Coach. I mean, Coach, you always, you know, Coach, you got the spirit of the late great, the John Woodens of this world. When you just drop those gems like that, it's like, all right, let's get after it. Every time I hear you drop these gems, when you mention emotional intelligence, man, and I think that really flows into, you know, the series that we're gonna go into next, man. We're gonna talk about emotional intelligence, and then I see that as the road and that's connecting this intersection between therapy and coaching, man. And emotional intelligence is so dense of a topic that we're gonna have to really unpack here in this space, because it's just gonna show up in every facet of entrepreneurship, business, relationships. It cuts across so many different domains, man. I can't wait till we really can unpack this emotional intelligence, man. And that was timely how you brought that in, man, and brought it up.
Well, I mean, we're towards the end of our call. I mean, I think it's an important thing to understand that you have to create that balance. You know, you can't go out there and accomplish any mission unless you are informed. Well, if you want to be a successful person, you have to be informed on yourself as well. And that's all emotional intelligence is. You have to understand when your emotions are rising. So that when you have to check yourself, you can.
Yes.
And you have to do that for your family. If you are in business and you have a team, you have to do that for your team. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to emotional intelligence, if you rise to the level of somebody who's upset, all you did is piss them off worse.
That's right.
And you're going to get into a contest where it's not healthy. And it's even worse when you do it at home, because if you get in an argument with your spouse, or even worse than that, with your kids, you shouldn't argue with a child. You need to be the bigger person, you know? So you have to understand, and it's hard to do. I'm not saying that, you know, I walk around and go to the restroom and crap roses or anything like that. But, you know, at the end of the day, if you don't understand what sets you off, then you can't detect when it's getting to the point that you can't stand it anymore. And that means you're not going to be able to walk away when you need to. So emotional intelligence is that way. And if you don't understand the basics of that, then you have no business going out and dealing with people to make money for a living, unless you're going to work a 9 to 5 and just be told what to do every day. Because the idea that you can't control yourself when you need to is going to give you a bad name, and you're not going to have any credibility at all.
Yeah, and Coach, that's so important. Emotional intelligence is, I talk about it so much because that's self-awareness. And there's even a scripture, man, that says anger resteth in the bosom of a fool. And so I quite often that relates to a concept I talk about in therapy when I talk about the anger iceberg. And I explain how when anger is high, cognition is low, and helping people really jump in the frigid waters of those emotions and exploring them. Let's explore them in depth. Let's give you a framework by which you can extract each emotion in real time and understand, why is it making me feel this way? And when you start to draw these connections and understand what universal thoughts are, and reframing, and just being able to, you know, really control the way you feel by what you think, it is such a powerful thing. And it takes life to the next level, and it helps to slow things down. But more importantly, when you get in a community and you come together with other people and you work through those, you're able to even see those things even more clear. And so that self-awareness is that first like building block of emotional intelligence, man. So I'm excited about, next podcast and really, hammering out the intricacies and the details of emotional intelligence, because you see it in coaching, I see it in therapy. And so it's like, it really goes together. And that's what I love about this intersection between coaching and therapy, man.
Yeah. And that relates to ambition as well, because guess what? If you're overly ambitious and you're walking around like a bouncing chihuahua and you're just going after everything and you're not paying attention to your surroundings, you're going to lose track of what's going on. But if you know that you're doing too much and you can sense that, then you'll back down when you need to.
Yes, sir.
Slow down, get a clear sight picture on what's going on, so that when it's time for you to go back out and use that drive, use that ambition, the clear sight picture is there and you're not going to go do something stupid.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, we're over 30 minutes. Do you have any closing comments that you would like to share with Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn?
Well, Coach, first off, I just want to say thank you, man. It's always a pleasure joining you in this space, and thank you to everybody watching and those who will watch in the future, man. That's all I would want to say is thank you.
Couldn't have said it better, except for I'll add to that. If you enjoy this content, like it, subscribe to it, reshare it, repost it. Depending on what platform you're on, just make sure you get it out to your doggone audience if it resonates with you. If it doesn't, push mute and move on. But if you feel like this is something that you want to know more about, make sure you leave a comment and keep the conversation going. Either me or DB, the therapist, will answer, or what would be even more wonderful is somebody that sees that comment that is not one of us will say something about it, and we'll keep the conversation going. That's all I have to say about that, just like Forrest Gump says. And this is Warrior Leadership. We talked about balancing ambition and well-being. And that's it. JJ Hardy, DB the therapist, out here.